priyate bhuvigata Sarvakya sancharini Mam patu priyadasha bhavakapadam Sangataye Shrirara Datri Tvam Swayamadi Deva Vanita Dinati Dinam Pashu Rakta Mamruta Chandrikali Pimayi Sarpakrutir Nidrita Chakrat Kurma Samashvita Bhagavati Tvamam Samalokaya Mam Shoganda Kuganda Dosha Jaditam Vedadikaryan Vitam Svalpa Swamala Chandra Koti Kiraner Nityam Shariram Kuru Siddharti Nijadosha Vitstalakatir Vyajiyate Vidyaya Kundaya Kulamarga Muktanagari Maya Kumarga Shriya Yadyevam Bhajati Prabhata Samaye Madhyana Kale Tava Nityam Yakula Kundali Japapadam Bojam Sasiro Bhavet Vavakasha Chatordale Divimale Vancha Falon Mulake Nityam Samprati Nitya Deha Gatita Sanketita Bhavita Vidya Kundala Manini Svajanani Maya Kriya Bhavyate Yeshte Siddha Kulodbhave Pranatibi Satstotra Ke Shambhubi Tata Shankara Mohini Tribhuvana Chaya Patot Kamini Samsaradi Mahasukha Praharani Tatrastita Yogini Sarva Granti Vibedini Swabhujaga Sukshmati Sukshma Para Brahmayana Vinodini Kulakuti Vyaghatini Pavyate
In together, suspending our mind just a little bit. And then we'll extend our awareness to each other, inside to inside, direct. And we'll stay in awareness for a little while. Awareness gym. Embodying awareness. And again, we're exploring Tantra, or the nature of awareness is Tantra. Also sent out a copy of the paper that I've been talking from, and then I think I sent another copy because I'm trying to edit it and refine it a little bit from a rather gross level, becoming more presentable. And then I'll send you one more copy. But I would really appreciate if you read it, not just to read it for information, but it may be useful for you in really integrating a lot of themes that we've gone over these past 100 years. and you can experience yourself and within the awareness field and embodying this awareness. And understanding a bit of history about it is always, just like in psychotherapy, the knowledge of history does not liberate us, but the knowledge of history, the knowledge of the narrative, helps contextualize the events that will liberate us. So history really is useful for the contextualization of everything and anything, huh? And history can also change as we unfold what it means. So last week we went through, I thought it was really great last week. People's experiences were so delicious and authentic. We're going to go through some of this again today, and we'll maybe do some practices again. We may even do some large group practice, hopefully. But I'm going to just emphasize two aspects here just of this paper again. And one, just in the beginning of it, that the ultimate aspect of Tantra is the continuity of experience of non-duality within duality, and with duality within non-duality. So Tantra takes, I always touch Elizabeth, Tantra takes otherness, Tantra takes flesh, Tantra takes reality, Tantra takes appearance as actuality. It doesn't cut off. In timeless awareness, you don't cut off time. You value time. And if you're in time, you don't cut off timeless awareness. It's the integration. You hear that word over and over again, Tantra, the simultaneousness, the simultaneous of both, huh? Whether it's the pairs of opposites or awareness, timeless awareness and time, duality and non-duality. As Abba Nagunta, the great Cosmic Shaivism master, would say, non-duality is God. Non-duality is God. And then he would say, duality is God. Yeah? And with that, he leans into the pantheistic realm, Tantra is ultimately pantheistic. And we'll touch that again, what that means, that everything and anything is divinity. Before I do that, though, rereading this paper, I realized one part I didn't have it, is that the power of Tantra is that it takes awareness from within into metabolism itself. In the tantric world, awareness in this Namanikaya manifestation, it metabolizes experience. And you can see also it influenced Gestalt therapists and therapy as it was emerging. Christopher Isherwood actually came here, was a tantric master. He was, not Christopher, Isidore Fromm, who was Christopher Isherwood's companion, was a tantric master. And so Tantra influenced Gestalt therapy because awareness up to that point was more just, hi, I'm aware of you. You with me? That mental focus. But as the Tantras influenced the early Gestalt adventurers and phenomenologists, Tantra is the embodiment of this field of awareness that metabolizes everything and anything. And even Van de Kalt speaks about this more and more, the power. Everyone at his clinic, and they all have to do what we do. They sit and they hold awareness together. We actually have conversations, he and I, about that. That this sitting and holding awareness together and the metabolizing of experience is essentially the very core aspect of Tantra. You're not working it through with your mind. It helps a little bit. But actually, you're working it through by metabolizing experience. And that theme runs through the Tantras, right? Say yes if that's making sense.
Yes. And the experience that is experiencing non-dual also.
Yes. Sim-
Symbolizing the non-dual and the dual.
it yes, it metabolizes the non-dual perception into the duality. You with me? And also vice versa. So this metabolization, Abhinukunta would call it the fiery digestion. That's why there's always fire element in the tantric life, huh? So that, I didn't emphasize, I want to emphasize it again, I want to put it in the paper or two, but it is the power of metabolization. And that's why there's some practice in it in order to gain the power and shift from being in that particular cognitive focus of our mind alone, and you're actually starting to focus and see through your embodied awareness, huh? And you integrate your mind into that. It's really our basic theme here for all these years. We went through about holding oneness and difference, transmission, and we'll do this again sometime. There's an essential splitting that destroys the possibility of experiencing duality with a non-duality, and that's when we either devalue time, devalue appearance, or we devalue timeless awareness itself. One, you'll be locked into a form of spiritual materialism, like a lot of traditions are. There's spiritual materialism. Or other, you just are you're in an ethereal state, transcendent. Some would say neither here nor there. And or you devalue timeless awareness itself. It's just the concrete moment, huh? Suffering, lots of suffering in that. This making sense? We went through how Tantra dissolves association. We'll touch this again. We went into the elementalness, that Tantra opens up the elementalness. How Tantra integrates. So I want to focus a little bit on Tantra as integration for a little while. And if you guys lean into me, and we'll we'll experience this together. We also spoke about Tantra being the power of the extension of awareness, the amplification of awareness, the intensification of it, the pacification of the awareness, the power of magnetization. And Tantra is neither simplistic sexuality nor a simplistic celibacy, huh? And we'll touch on that again too. Tantra integrates. If we lean into each other, we'll be tantrics. If I'm in a solipsic state, I'm not a tantric. If I'm in union, even at this moment, I'm a tantric. I'm not saying that just to be funny about it, but Tantra is always entering union. Truly, for tantrics, two awarenesses are better than one. It is the conjunctio. Jung is a tantric. In his later life, as he finally got beyond psychoanalysis, he became his mysterious conjunctio. His final book is a book on Tantra. He wrote the Red Book, huh? When he wrote the Red Book, that was the beginning of his beginning to enter the tantric path, huh? And beginning to experience the mysterious conjunctio, the mysterious states of union that people have within themselves, mind and awareness in union, within each other, union that takes place in most ordinary life. Union between us and the world itself, going beyond, and union with the cosmos, huh? Different steps of union. And we take those steps of union. As we go through union, we often start with people we know and love, huh? And through them, even as a child, we know and love the mom and the dad if things are working right. And through that, the door opens into the world itself, and one can experience union in this world. And then it can go beyond the world itself into the cosmos itself. It is a relational undertaking. It is not the only path. The other path, which is the Piscean age path, is on the way out, he says. We'll go into that some more. Now, so Tantra integrates both the masculine and feminine energies, or the elements, within human beings. Tantric experience is the invocation. The Tantras are very focused on the feminine, on the invocation of the feminine dimension as gnosis, as jhana, as direct perception, as pure perception. It happens, actually, this is not necessarily gender specific. When they're speaking about feminine and masculine, it is not gender specific. However, in actuality, it is gender specific, because there's many studies that on the whole women tend to have more direct perception than us guys, okay? They tend to have more direct perception, more gnosis. And out of the gnosis, they're more relationally capable, right? And this is just an unhappy fact. It's an unhappy fact. So Tantra brings forth the anima dimension within human love, huh? And Tantra brings forth the anima mystic dimension as the foundation of human existence and actually true spirituality. Tantra embraces the feminine within us and the feminine surrounding us. We can even do this right at this moment. We can enter into and feeling the feminine within us and the feminine around us. Huh? That type of perspicacy, that type of subtle perception is essential to the Tantras, is finding where is the energy at in this room right now. Whatever room that might be. Say yes if you're following what I'm saying. Tantras, they do some rituals, but ritualistic experience is quite secondary, quite incidental to Tantra. You with me? In fact, when Tantra gets preoccupied with rituals, as it has often done around sexuality, it loses its vitality and becomes obsessive compulsive activity. The dilemma with rituals, it easily can become obsessive compulsive magical thinking activity, huh? Just by saying the empty words as if something's going to happen. Tantra embraces the feminine within us and the feminine around us. Let's just do it for a moment. As our friends on the internet, huh? All this stuff is always three-dimensional. Tantra is never two-dimensional. It is always three-dimensional. Tantra arises out of the virtual. That's why it's non-local. It arises out of virtuality. Tantra liberates us through the grace of the feminine dimension, huh? The feminine manifestation. The feminine, both archetypical and mnemonic, whether it's in gender male or gender female. It crosses those boundaries. Tantra is both sublimation and the integration of our primordial and primitive energies. This is the central aspect of what Tantra is. In Tantra, the primitive and primal energies, Tantra says yes to. Tantra takes that. Tantra embraces it. And Tantra uses those energies, those primitive, primal, mammalian energies to bring forth the body of light. Tantra integrates everything into the light. The most disgusting experiences, like watching those children being poisoned, in Syria right now. It takes all this experience and it transforms it through the body. It metabolizes it. It metabolizes horror. It metabolizes anger. It metabolizes everything. And in doing that, the body of light is formed. There are other traditions that metabolize nothing. Neti, neti, neti. Not this, not that, and definitely not that. And that sort of rationalistic thing can free you through dissociativeness and entering into transcendental states. You with me? It's good for you. I don't know if it helps anybody else, if you like that realm. And so, that's what I mentioned, the realms. Not next week, but the week after that, on the 19th, we're going to have a person who I like very much, if I can find his paper here, Giorgio. And Giorgio I first met Giorgio through his book on the divine realms in Buddhism. The realms, the top of the realms, those realms. And he has the most wonderful book on the realms. He's a true scholar. And and he also has papers on the influence of Greek philosophy on Buddhism. We like both. We like how things integrate. And then one day, he just happened to stumble through one of our friends on the internet who's from Greece, and he's been participating also on some of our programs on Wednesday. So he's going to, not next week, but the 19th, he's going to I'm going to do a question and answer thing with him just to make it easier. But he's going to talk on the realms, the lands, they call them the lands, the pure lands. And then we'll go, if we have enough time, we'll go into the mutual influence of Greek philosophy on Buddhism, okay? Indo-Buddhist stuff, okay? The same thing we've been exploring when Father Teso came here and this sort of thing. Say yes if you guys are following me. It should be really cool. I'd rather more people be here now if you're out of town, like you guys are, you don't have to be here. But if you are in town, it's better to be here because I want more space on the internet that we can be really clear. What's that, hon?
Your TV.
Yeah, if we could set that, if we could do it, that'd be great. So, cool. He's coming. He's really great, and that should be lots of fun. Back from wandering around here. So, Tantra is the integration of the primal and primordial energies. These energies are both personal and cosmological. The entire realm of Tantra is to take the personal. It's not non-personal. It's not impersonal, as certain traditions are. It's very personal. It is personhood. It's who-ness. You with me? And it integrates the primordial energies into the light of awareness. It integrates everything into the light of awareness. That means you have to have the light of awareness and be in it and have practice that you can hold it and be held by it. The primitive instincts. Okay, let me tell you. These energies are both personal and cosmological. Tantra integrates, and this is where Freud is so great. Tantra integrates Eros and Thanatos. At the most basic level, Tantra is integrating Eros and it's integrating Thanatos. It's integrating manifestation and it's integrating disappearance into the light. Say yes. Okay. Tantra integrates the sexual instincts and the survival instincts like rage, killing. Gonna have to take this person out. Survival instincts into the essential light of awareness, into the essential embodiment of awareness. So in this process of embodiment of awareness, the embodying, bringing into all this experience, the not me stuff, integrating all this stuff, you with me, in order to bring forth embodiment and the embodiment of light. And it goes further than that too. Please stay awake. Tantra integrates the sexual instincts and survival instincts into the essential light of awareness, into the essential embodiment of awareness. That's why the body is extremely important. The body is the medium of the field here. Body is not, it's not anti-body, it's not anti-flesh, it's not anti. Tantra allows us to experience the appearing and disappearing of everything and anything. At its base, Tantra embodies appearing and manifestation, and it embodies disappearing. Freud's magnificent work and understanding is really the great Western step to understanding Tantra. And without awareness, without the presence of awareness, the field of innate awareness, I'm not talking about mental awareness, but out of that field of innate awareness, the ego, to use Freudian language, the ego, thinking, feeling, sensation, memory, the superego, bad dog, bad people, take them out. The instinctive id, the critical conscience, the annihilating conscience, the superego configurations create the realms of endless extremes. That's why Freud's texts are intimate with conflict within ourselves, my ego, the id, the libido aspects, superego aspects, and also interpersonal relationships where the id, superego, and constant battle in groups, right? It is a story of battle, conflict. You follow what I'm saying, right? It's occasionally some balance. The person is both tormented. It creates realms of extremes. The person is both tormented by the extremes of drivenness, and torments others by extremes of chaotic drivenness and demandingness. Just like the instincts are demanding, the superego is demanding, the ego is trying to survive. What the fuck? Do you know that? You know that? And so the person is both tormented by the extremes of drivenness and torments others, not just myself, but others, by the extremes of chaotic drivenness and demandingness. Now, please. These extremes are the extremes of abstinence and extremes of deprivation. Abstinence is an extreme. Deprivation is an extreme. And extremes of drivenness and extremes of relentless discharge. This is important about the Tantra, what I'm going into about relentless discharge. Because if you read many texts on adjustment, what do they call that where the body makes an adjustment? There's self-regulation. Many themes of self-regulation. Tantra is very interested in self-regulation, but it's not interested in self-regulation just by discharge. It's interested in self-regulation by resonance. That is a big jump. That's why a lot of discharge takes place by people when they lack self-regulation through trauma or other stuff. So they're discharging all the time. You with me? And one of the favorite ways of discharging is sexuality. Tantra is interested in sexuality as resonance, resonance, integrating the energy, the erotic energy, as resonance in this world. You with me? Say yes if you find it. Because then I don't know where you're at. So, so the sexual instinct, and this is really powerful, the sexual instinct, libido, and it's sexual instinct in the large sense of libido, eros, is often located at one extreme, a sphere, SPHRE of extremes. As the dynamic eros instinct can often be repressed, boom, foreclosed, boom, dissociated with from human experience. It can be dissociated from human experience. And this has nothing to do with celibacy or non-celibacy. It's beyond those simplistic distinctions of sexuality or celibacy. That is a simple, simplistic distinction for simple minds. And so when there is this repression of the life force, vitality, eros, sexuality, in that way, and the energy is not integrated and not brought forth, and brought forth as it emerges with the light, the awakened awareness is expanding in my body with the light, and expanding through all the chakras and all the centers, and as it expands, my capacity for resonance for perception is exquisitely increased, right? And I can metabolize more and more of everything and anything, right? I get better at the metabolization of experience. Say yes if that's making sense. When that doesn't happen, one of the things that can happen is there's a gradual loss of vitalness and a deep constriction of the range of experience, the range of knowingness, and the range of cosmological relatedness. Yes, sexual instinctiveness does, as it's integrated into our body, into this light of awareness, does support the perception of this world, the perception of the cosmos, and also because it's all perceptions of deep resonance, deep understanding. You follow what I mean? Resonance. Say yes if you do. Say no if you don't. There's an eventual minimization and disappearance of eros and vitality. It does simply disappear. A person can be celibate and still enormously erotic, huh? And like we were describing last week, the intrinsic eros that arises through sublimation, the light of the unfolding. A person can be enormously discharging, and the light of vitality is weakening. Say yes if you understand. Not much yes out there, okay? Yes. Vitality. That's why Vajrakamara, unborn, undying. Okay, at the other, so there's eventual minimization, disappearance of eros and vitality. Or it happens in other ways. At the other sphere, you can read implications. At the other sphere of extremes is a person possessed by sexual instinct and has no power of integration. I'm not integrating the instinct in me. The instinct has integrated me in it. Say yes if you ever known that.
Yes.
So I'm no longer integrating the instinct in me. The instinct has integrated me. I am located in a sphere, S-P-H-E-R-E. It seems like it's inside me, but it's inside me up to a point. My awareness is here, and there's this sphere in me that controls me, demands of me, organizes me, and triumphs over me relentlessly. Say yes. So, we're talking about spheres, S-P-H-E-R-E. And the yogis talk about it this way also. So the person is integrated by and into the sphere of instinct alone. The person in there, these are not moral talks, by the way. Forget about, this has to do with unfoldingness and what we have to, and how we work with all these dramas that we're in. The person is integrated by into the sphere of instinct alone. The person and their functions are taken into this sphere, S-P-H-E-R-E, of instinct, and they're controlled and they're subsumed by instinctiveness. The person is possessed and completely preoccupied by the demands and the endless and ceaseless requirements of the instinct. So instinct starts when it really gets, when that sphere gets very activated and it's not integrated in you, it controls everything. Where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, how I am, it organizes me completely. Huh? Not much freedom. So the person is possessed and completely preoccupied by the demands and endless and ceaseless requirements of the instinct. Instinctiveness organizes everything and demands everything of the person and those around him or her. Instinct creates things and thingness of oneself. When the instinct, and not just the sexual instinct, but survival instinct gets at a certain point, and that sphere is not integrated into awareness, everything becomes a thing. I don't know if you ever had this experience, but unless you don't experience this, this is just words. So if you're really just a certain person who never experienced this, it'll make no sense to you. But if you happen to have good fortune, and you've had a range of human experience, then you will see everyone becomes a thing. And the thing enters you into a need gratification system primarily. And everything is a thing that is in service to the need. Not to you. You? Who? No, who? To the instinct, to the sphere, S-P-H-E-R-E. And I'm having fun with it a bit, but really this is very, very horrible states to be in for people. These are the hell realms in Earth. So everything is organized to gratify the drivenness of the instinct. Instinct objectifies everything and everyone. That's Freud's genius too. People criticize Freud in his discussions of the instinct because he uses words like cathect. I'm cathecting to that thing. There's no person necessary in that unless it's integrated. So he was studying, when he looks at instinct, sexuality simply as instinct, he's looking at thingness. And instinct is connected to thingness. It's a he called it cathected to a thing and having a catharsis is the story. Say yes if you're understanding that. And everybody should read Freud. I spent a part of my life just living Freud. It was so great and then I started meeting the Tantric master around right after that. That fits so well because I really, through my living Freud, understanding Freud, I could really open to the power of the instincts and how to take them into awareness that something could be brought forth that cannot be brought forth anyway, which is the embodied of light and entering also. Because the same thing happens with Thanatos. You start metabolizing Thanatos, and out of the metabolization of death, they say it, death and the horror of death, as you metabolize that and you stay in that, then deathless awareness arises out of that. You follow what I mean by that? Let's continue on. So, instincts objectify everyone and everything. Instinct objectifies the world. Instinct limits humanism to a mammalian dimensionality. These are not moral words. That's why people who really become sexually addicted, it is not easy. And it's not a moral, it seems like a moral issue, but it's way beyond moral. It is at this level of compulsion. Instincts cathect to cathartic expression alone. So instincts cathect, just sheer instinct, without being brought into the power of awareness. They have to go into catharsis one way or another. Whether it's anger, whether it's sexuality, whether many other ways. So instincts cathect to cathartic expression alone and to discharging relentlessly and compulsively. Instinctiveness in its extreme invokes the vigilance of the predator. You with me? Say survival instinctness. And we'll go into that with annihilation anxiety. So when you really go to the extreme of the instinct, you will find yourself falling into being a predator. You with me? And everything again is to assuage this instinctive drive. Some of the relational psychologies, some of the more newer relational psychologies are really great up to a point because they bring forth wholeness, they bring forth true selfness. But some of them lack the early Freudian understanding of the instinctive demand, the power of instinct. And so it's really trying to integrate those two that actually, to me, gives us a balanced frame. Say yes if you understand that language. Yes?
It seems like if the instinct is survival, that it brings up everything you're saying, but at a different plane. Thinking of people who come to therapy who are traumatized to a point that everything they experience is a question of survival.
Yes, absolutely.
And so there's none of this integration. But it feels different than when I think of it just about sexuality.
No, it's the whole instinct has a range, and there's survival instincts, and there's sexual instincts, and you go through the whole oral stages are also instinctive. But this is why Winnicott's genius was his beginning to understand when there's trauma, some space has to be opened. And if that space can't be opened and held by another person or symbol, it is going to be very hard for the person to transform the traumatic experience. You with me? So that's why transitional space. And what is transitional space? It's another language of awareness, huh? Let me continue here. That's why meditation is really useful if you're not just watching thoughts. Without the unfolding of sublimation, and sublimation is the drama of, and there's also a paper on the Kundalini and sublimation, the two of them, if you might read, is the drama of integrating everything and anything into this awareness. everything and anything. So instinct becomes the central focus and the central mechanism of mind-body continuum. Instinct becomes the singular mechanism to dissipate unbearable anxieties and unassimilated trauma. So when people come within lots of trauma, early trauma, whatever trauma, they are going to be discharging one way or another. There's going to be discharge. There'll be discharge through unbelievable anxiety, unbelievable terror, unbelievable rage, murder, everything, because discharge is one way that I free myself in this moment from the trauma. How do I free myself? I free myself from the trauma and the disorganization that it brings into me, and the mind-body lack of self-regulation. I discharge. And after that discharge, whatever that might be, it might be gambling, it might be picking a really nice fight, it might be a particular sexual moment, it might be a drug moment, whatever the discharge is, for a few moments, relief, peace. The peace I give to you, right? It's peace. It is pure peace for a moment.
So food is also.
Food is also a wonderful one, and food can be really, really elegantly elaborated. But so does vomiting. Vomiting becomes a discharge experience. You with me? At a very primal level, that discharge has its own freeing us from the trauma. So many attempts at freeing from trauma, are discharging this. So we're trying to go the next step this is the wisdom of the great tantrics, okay? Instinct does not integrate, but discharges painful and unassimilated experience. So a lot of trauma for us is simply unassimilated experience. One of the great dramas of meditation, if you happen to do it more than 10 minutes, 10 minutes of meditation, I'm still just finding how to sit comfortable the first 10 minutes. The second 10 minutes, I'm trying to find my tea. You with me? Third 10 minutes, I'm thinking about taxes. So maybe about after half an hour, I really go into wonderful states. So if you really meditate and you open yourself up to the space of awareness, everything unassimilated will become manifest to you in time if you sit. And you expand your field. If you sit only in a contracted state, nothing's going to come up. You just suffer. But if you can learn to extend that field, and a little bit you have, and you start extending, more space is created. Instinct becomes the anchor and the base against fundamental annihilation and deprivation anxiety. So what do I rely on? I rely on my instinct. And they're really very wonderful people. This is again, if you impose morality on any of this, you're a fool. Really and truly, you don't do anybody any good. You put that super ego shit on this type of stuff, and really and truly, you're in the wrong world. So when people, really wonderful people, are struggling, and their only anchor is the instinct, because they're basically faced with disintegration anxiety, and they're falling apart. They feel like their organs are falling apart, their mind's falling apart, and the same thing with deprivation anxiety. And then sometimes they shift from that type of anxiety to the primordial terror of the ontological void, right? You ever do that? You shift out of psychological anxiety of annihilation. Really, I'm falling apart, I'm dying, I'm being killed, I feel, and then we shift, and you shift into a certain state, the initial state of awareness, and then you're in the void. But you're in the empty void. It's not the plenuma, it's not the fullness. Then you find yourself in the void of lack. So we can go from the drivenness of annihilation, say yes if you understand this. the drivenness of annihilation anxiety. And anyone who's any good at this, you have to go through this, okay? This is not just historically issue. These are existential issues. If you leave from your conventional mind a little bit, you with me? Your conventional adaptational mind, then this stuff will happen. You will feel annihilation anxiety arising. You will feel these primary anxieties arising. You will feel deprivation anxiety arising. You don't have to blame it on past lives. There's enough just being an existential human being. And then suddenly it shifts. And you might start going into awareness. But sometimes the first phase of awareness is what? Emptiness. In the most nihilistic sense. You with me? And a lot of people stay with that. And they think it's good for them. That nihilistic sense of emptiness, that ontological which is lack, profound lack. There's no orientation. It is just lack. There's no feeling to it either. There's no affect to it. At least in deprivation anxiety, you have some felt sense to it. There's some feeling to it. Annihilation anxiety, you have feeling. You're alive even though you're being annihilated. When you shift into the ontological level, whoever designed this had some weirdness about him, right? You go into ontological, which is simply the void, the empty void, and it's a lack. But there's no feelings. Raise your hands if you ever had that. Come on, raise your hands. There's no feeling to it. It is just lack. Yes?
The feeling is relief.
The feeling is a relief.
And then it turns, and then there's an emptiness.
There's this void. Yeah.
It feels good for a while.
It feels okay till you start having some cognizance about it.
Yeah.
And then you're there forever. Because it also has a bit of the tone of timeless awareness. Now, actually, it's a good thing. You're right next door to it. The door's there. The door is starting to open, but you haven't passed through the door yet. As Yen Chin would often say, "Oh, you're not through the door of Qigong yet." Not yet. Not yet. You guys follow this description? Okay. So there's no awareness within the sphere. I'm using this word on purpose. S-P-H-E-R-E. It's a sphere. That's why it's certain parts of our bodies. As the sphere opens, then you start to experience the instinctive energy, eros, through your entire body. But a lot of times it's felt as drivenness because it's contained in an S-P-H-E-R-E. Say yes if you understand that. So, to put this another way, there is no awareness within the sphere of instinct. It has no awareness. It has vigilance, it has searching, but there is no human awareness permitting. Now, one of the ways we try and deal it, we try and have our little superego. Help, help, help. No, 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 no. Help, help. No, no, yes, no. No, no, no. Okay, yes. Bad, 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 bad. Hell, hell, hell realm. Forever and ever. Okay, no, no, no. Goes on and right? It happens between people. Happens within ourselves, then it happens between people. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no, yes, no, 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 no. No, Mr. Bill, no. It does, right? You have to have a little humor. So the question of Tantra is how to open the instinct. And how to open that door. And Mary Kay was so helpful. Mary Kay, yeah, how you described that last week when it opened up for you. That it was like a pop. To open up the instinct, huh? Then as the instinct opens, huh, then the integration begins. It begins to infuse the light, and the light begins to infuse it, and and it all takes place in the body where. And initially with the awakening of the awareness state, with the awakening of the energy, the sphere can become very intense. It can become so intense. In fact, a lot of people want to find some teacher, guru, or whatever tradition to awaken them in order for sexual thrills. You with me? So the power of the awakening of the sexual energy with the Kundalini as it awakens it, it increases it, it intensifies it, in order to do what? To open it. It breaks its containment. Because a lot of times it's contained. And one way, when the energy gets awakened, what happens is people go into fantasy as a way of dissipating it. And the one thing tantrics don't want you to do is, what's the one thing they don't want you to do? They don't want you to go into fantasy. Because if you go into fantasy, the energy is not going to move as it can move, and the light is not going to expand through your body. It's going to go into your imagination, and you're going to become a fantasiful person. You with me? There's this realm, and there's the other realm. You with me? And they'll never meet. Maybe. Say yes if you guys are following this.
Yes.
Okay. So, the instinct can foreclose the opening of awareness. Instinct concretizes thought. Who knows that instinct concretizes thought? Instinct concretizes thought. Sometimes people who have alexithymia, they're very, very bright, but there's a concretization, often sometimes because of the instinct, not all the time. But that concretization, they have trouble reflecting any type of personal experience because it's so closed. Because if I open up this personal experience, then the instinct can perhaps also become uncontained. So instinct concretizes thought. Instinct can concretize feelings. Instinct can concretize sensations. And instinct can concretize memory. And can concretize my imagination. So I have sort of a machine-like memory and all this stuff, but it's all very contained and organized by the instinct. I am on automatic. Say yes if you understand this. I'm talking fast, but this is really what the power of Tantra is. It's the power of Kundalini. And if you have that experience of Kundalini and you have Tantra embodied in you, you're a lucky person. You with me? Now, instinct usurps self-regulation and usurps resonance into relentless discharge and fragmentation. So if I'm always trying to discharge and I'm always working on self-regulation, either for survival reasons or from compulsive reasons, whatever that might be, sexual or whatever, and in order to gain some freedom from the tension, the unbearable tension. And Freud was a genius because he looked at most of these instincts as trying to free ourselves from what? Unbearable tension, right? That's the Freudian frame, unbearable tension. And he's so accurate in his descriptions because, in fact, it is unbearable tension. And then once there's a discharge, peace. Light a cigarette. You follow what I'm saying? Then the tension starts coming back. But I don't have resonance. I do not have resonance. With discharge, I do not have the power of resonance. I've lost the oomph, the oompa, the oompah-pa, the drum, boom, boom, boom. I lost the tone, but I feel better, and I feel peaceful, and I feel rest. I'm resting in peace. Good. So, let's continue on. Most addictions, and I use it in a broad sense of the term, are compulsions of instinct disturbance. Instinctiveness alone brings relentless agitation and discharge of the circular continuum of inner resonance. You can also look at certain bipolar phenomena too, because bipolarness can also get very close to this same thing, the bipolar states. And bipolar states, there's a few, then we'll talk about this later on. Tantra is really great for bipolar people. A lot of tantrics are bipolar, at least some of the ones I've met. And they're bipolar. But bipolar people, when they're intelligent, and many are intelligent, they live very close to Thanatos and Eros. They're right in the midst of Thanatos and Eros so much. You with me? And that's why Thanatos itself, as it arises in them, is so compelling. It is so compelling. You with me? It's It is the call of the sirens to kill themselves. That's why the bipolar frame, more than perhaps any other frame, leads to suicide. You with me? But for sometimes different reasons. Sometimes it's pain, but it's also the allure of Thanatos itself.
So it isn't an escape.
It's not necessarily an escape. It can be an escape, but it's a very tricky escape because it's so compelling. It's so compelling. So residence is always temporary. I'm sorry to be going over this, but you once you get a feel of this, it's really, really helpful. And self-comfort is temporary and fragmentary. Vigilance is the orientation of instinct. Instinctive discharge creates the illusionary sense of being rescued from deprivation, annihilation, anxieties. I'm okay for right now. Whatever that particular addiction is, the illusion is temporary, and this illusion cannot sustain the continuous sense of awareness, the ongoing sense of continuity and beingness. And that's essentially what Tantra is. Ongoing sense of continuity of myself in resonance with the world, in resonance with the cosmos, both the horrible and the beautiful simultaneously. I can hold both. Let's continue. Yes, please. Now, I'm going to pause for one statement and make something about philosophical. Is this okay with you guys?
Yeah.
You enjoying this? Okay. I want you to be entertained. Yes.
Where does refuge fit in?
Refuge fits into, very good question, Tom. It depends what level of development you're in. Because in certain early Buddhism, I'm taking refuge in the Buddha, the guy. You with me? Or then I'm taking refuge in, but as it emerges, I ultimately take refuge. Where does the Vajrayana, the Vajrayana of Dzogchen, not the Vajrayana of Mahamudra, the Vajrayana of Dzogchen, you take refuge where? In your awareness itself. It's best to start off in the beginning. It takes a while, but awareness itself becomes what you take refuge. And we'll go through that in a little bit more. But it's useful to understand refuge, and this, because sometimes
Well, it's not a refuge.
sometimes I have no capacity for refuge, so I take refuge in a person. And taking refuge in a person is actually the first step to taking refuge in ourself, if the person knows it.
When we,
It's a passing, huh?
we take refuge in ourselves, it's not refuge, it's being there.
It's so, but actually the method is, for people who are not there, they have to learn to take refuge. We have to learn to take refuge in ourselves. It may be much easier to take refuge in mama and papa. It may be much easier to take refuge. And first we start, anything you start to take refuge in is initially external to you. Even if you take the self-object function, let's go back to psychoanalytic thinking. That's why psychoanalytic helps us on this. The first refuge we take with is the external self-object. So there's some self-object in your life who you take refuge in, who holds you and has some recognition of you as a person and of capacity. That is extremely important. You with me? Now some people can't find a person. Huh?
Resonance and the co-regulation.
That will start taking place there, but it's with an external other. And then sometimes it can be an animal. You with me? A pet. Then for sometimes it's the sky. For sometimes people it's nature. For sometimes it's a symbol. They walk and they see Holy Mary and they feel this energy coming towards them because their symbolic function is alive. You with me? It's not too concretized. The dilemma with certain forms of trauma, it undercuts symbolization. So the symbolic function is not working. And so that person, so ultimately if they can take refuge in something like a person or even some type of addictive activity to start off with is really useful. Something is better than nothing. And from there we start working further to other forms of self-object function. But the first form of self-object, this is Kohat. The first form is outside and external, and it's gross. But then because of the resonance, it starts becoming more internal. So, it's a memory I have. Oh, I'm not with that person right now, but I can feel that person. If I go to memory, I can actually feel my connection to that person right now. That means I'm in awareness, I'm discovering awareness, and through that awareness, I can feel that through connection to my person here and now. Not as memory, but as the actual connection in space and time. And I feel then what? More ongoing continuity of self and less fragmentation right at that moment. So if I can feel that connection, or I have a symbol, that person gives me a gift. Here's a gift. And I take that gift, and that gift has that symbolic quality. You with me? Mm-hmm. That can be of enormous help. You with me? Or in religion, there's a person, there's a lama, and that lama I take as a symbolic function of that lama holding that awareness field. That lama embodies awareness. I can feel the awareness in him, and that awareness echoes in me. And if I'm freeing myself that guy doesn't have to be perfect or Mr. Buddha man and know everything and anything, it'll work out. If I think he has to be Buddha man, I'm going to find myself getting in despair. Mm-hmm. So the very beginning that it's more mutual, the very beginning that it's not so asymmetrical, it is more highly probable to survive. The same thing, if Mama and Papa is too much up there, it's very much harder for the symbolic function to take place, where I can idealize Mama, I can idealize the Lama, I have devotion to you, but it may not bring anything to me because you're just too far up there and I'm just a piece of shit. Yes?
When you talk about, when you do that, I'm thinking about my own personal journey in this, how that dissolution of that image ultimately created the solidity and continuity of awareness.
That is true, but it depends on the constitution of that image. I'll say this way to you. I think the image of friendship is really great. I think the image of friendship is really great. I think friendship, de amicitia, in the ancient sense, Cicero writes about. When you have friendship with teachers, when you have friendship with lamas, to use that, or yogis, when you have friendship with people and they hold you, you're in a you're not in an asymmetrical relationship. What's so great about friendship, more or less, is it is not asymmetrical. It can be somewhat asymmetrical, but it's not on the other side of fucking infinity. You with me? Fucking infinity? Is that the right word?
So you want kind of symmetrical self-object functioning.
You want symmetrical self-object function. And the more symmetrical it is, then the more the internalization becomes easy. That's why de amicitia, or friendship. In my own life, for the most part, I've mentioned this one time, in my ninth house, I'm revealing more, my ninth house, which is the house of the guru, is the house of friendship. And that's, for me, how that plays out. And so most teachers I know, it always emerges as friendship. Not all of them, believe me, but it's not friendship. I don't care. But most of all, from Swami Muktananda, Lama Tarchin, Lama Norla, Yen Chin, Wanderer, I always feel this state of friendship, and we relate as friends. Now that people can relate, for some people they think their teacher's their mother, or their own mother may be they're the mother of their own mother, or they're the father of their own father. That's going to give you a different frame on this story, depending how you relate to the self-object function. Say yes if you're understanding what I'm saying here. But friendship, one of the things with classical positions in psychotherapy is they're introgenetic. It's a repetition of their early experience if you're not as a person. If you say nothing about yourself, you with me? And you share anything about yourself as a human being, and you shift from the asymmetrical frame into some degree of symmetricalness, which actually increases healing, there's many stories about this, you with me? Increases the assimilation of the recognition that you're getting. So the asymmetricalness is challenged in contemporary psychotherapy, right? And the asymmetricalness is challenged more and more, like in Tibetan Buddhism, which is taking place right now. You guys follow this conversation?
What about lovers?
lovers, of course lovers. What's lovers, but the more symmetrical love is, what happens? In fact, if you always are looking for an asymmetrical lover, you may be a little fucked up, as they say. You with me? If you're always finding asymmetrical lovers, either below or above, you want symmetricalness in your life is a good thing. Symmetricalness in your life is a good thing.
Otherwise, it's hard to have true resonance.
Other than that, it's hard to have true resonance. The great gurus I'm with have always had a capacity for friendship. And that capacity for friendship would come through. You feel that friendship arising within you. And it's the friendship of the heart essence. Heart essence tradition, it's so funny. Heart essence tradition, in his heart, if accurately carried through, is a symmetrical state between human beings. Equality consciousness, that's where we ended up. Yes, thank you. You're so helpful here. Thank you so much. I always appreciate what you say, because you lead me further. Equality consciousness is a symmetrical experience. And when you don't have equality consciousness, you are not experiencing self-liberation. That is how that's presented. We'll cover that again. Yes.
If you're going to be my mirror and you're looking down on me, I see myself as less than I am.
Absolutely.
You have to see me equal. And if you see me off, then you can't see me. You can't see yourself.
I don't have the proper reflection.
There has any real relationship has to be
Symmetrical.
equal.
Symmetrical. And sometimes if you're asymmetrical and you're entering into a relationship with a person, which people do because of woundedness, they have to climb up the food chain to their equality consciousness. Equality consciousness is really useful. That's why the whole thing that's taking place, and again, I've asked people that this is all confidential, right? But I'm recording, so I'm not going to say this right now. Okay, but confidentiality is also important at times for symmetrical life. What's taking place is between myself and you. Let me continue on with this. So philosophical unreality, and I'm always taking chomps at this, but I want again. Some Eastern, and it's not all Hinduism and not all Buddhism at all, some Eastern cultural traditions, such as some forms of Buddhism and some forms of Hinduism traditions, use their philosophical views of the unreality of the world, their view of dilutedness of experience and appearance, as a way of avoiding deprivation and annihilation anxieties. So a fundamental way of avoiding annihilation anxiety and deprivation anxiety is to say, none of this is real. It ain't real. What I'm feeling ain't real. What I'm suffering is not real. None of this is real. Their view is nothing is. The ultimate view is nothing is. And you can read this in classical Buddhist texts. Nothing is. Their view is profoundly dissociative in essence and actuality. Now, if you go into very subtle thinking and you go into potentiality and you understand the Dharmakaya as potentiality or pure potentiality, there still is the isness of potentiality, which is an actuality of potentiality. But that takes a sort of refinement that regular popular people they're going to think that nothing is, right? So their view is profoundly dissociative in essence and actuality. This philosophical view is a cosmological denial of the actuality of actuality. Cosmological denial and distortion. What then remains for them is the void of nihilism. What remains is the voidness of meaning and voidness of vitality. And they consider this to be the meaning of emptiness, which I don't, and most of you don't. Emptiness is the plenuma, is fullness. I love Merleau-Ponty's concept of the flesh. When he speaks about the concept of the flesh in the text, the visible and the invisible, by the flesh, he means that manifestation of primordial awareness as flesh. And all this is the flesh. Cars and cups and water and all this is the flesh. It's a unified experience from primordial awareness up to this moment of flesh. This is eminence, and this is pantheism. And where we're going is pantheism. So let me just, okay. Now we're going to jump ahead of this for a moment. Back to Kundalini, and now back to primitive structures again, okay? Everybody awake here? We're going to wake up, okay? Okay. Now we're going back to primitive structures. In the phenomenological reduction of becoming aware of awareness, and that's a reduction. I'm in my mind, I shift from my mind, I'm in awareness of my mind, I'm now mindful, and I take this next shift and I enter awareness of awareness. And then I feel this whole thing opening up. It just doesn't open up here, it starts opening up in my groin, my belly, the whole thing starts to open up. I start to feel these pulsations arising and energy and all this. I start to feel the instincts. But there is an opening in the instinctive sphere. It's now starting to get open. And when it gets open, I feel it more than ever. I feel it super duper. And I'm feeling it opening and it's stretching. It's literally stretching my body. And I feel this opening. My body's going through pulsations and feeling really strange. I'm jerking around, moving. I go into pulsations. I go into fundamental, what's the word, when the undulation experiences, and I'm feeling all this energy arise in me. That mirror, the sphere, SPGRE of the instinct is open now, right? And I'm feeling it more raw, R-A-W, than ever. However, the drivenness is not quite the same. The drivenness is not here pushing me there, or whatever that instinct may be. It is a raw feeling of the pure instinct as intense pleasure, as intense bliss, as intensity, but without the same degree of drivenness at this moment. That's when I know it's open. Say yes if you know that. Now. So, the field of awareness opens infinite around. So as the field of awareness is opening me, it's also opening up these spheres. You with me? And then sometimes there's practices also to open up more, from even just touching a person here or using mantras, but you're opening up the entire organism to this unfolding of the light. And as it unfolds, so then the first run of this is pretty intense. The first run, say, of sexuality and aggression and anger and rage, the Freud thing, opens up. And as it starts to open up, the major first stuck place is the navel. This door is a solid door, right? So that's why kumbhaka, and like in the goddess technique that I gave on Saturday, there is a kumbhaka at the end where you hold the breath, you press the energy down, right? When we did the Dorje Udromo, and that energy is designed to do what? Open up the instinct. It opens up this whole dimension. When you're pushing the energy down and the breath stops, you feel the energy coming up, it creates a kumbhaka, and those kumbhakas help hold this up. Raise your hands if you know this about kumbhakas. You know this about kumbhaka. Raise your hands if you don't know about kumbhaka. Okay. We'll touch that again. If you can come on Saturday to that practice. It'll be part of the practice is a kumbhaka practice, or I'll practice it the next time we meet again. So awareness itself brings forth this alchemical event. So as I'm entering awareness, but I'm entering awareness not just on my own, I feel awareness resonating to me through Elizabeth, or I feel awareness resonating through me through Tom, or I feel awareness resonating to me in the room, or I feel awareness resonating through me to a teacher. That resonance of awareness, or I feel the resonance of awareness in these strange dark situations, but I feel this energy awaken here. Are you with me? The resonance also opens this up. Say yes if you understand this. Resonance is really a key. Someone touches me in a certain way and I feel this resonance move through my whole body, and I feel myself not going into discharge, but out of the resonance itself, I feel these centers opening up in me. I sit next to a person sometimes, do a meditation retreat, first time, and suddenly this whole thing starts to open, my body starts to open, I'm running miles and miles and miles with all this unbound energy open. I go to visit Swami Muktananda one day, I'm at the University of Maryland Medical School, and I had met him in 1974. I started having dreams and things, and met him there, and I meet him one more time. He comes to Washington someplace, and then I heard 1976. He's at the place. What's the place? 76, someplace in Fallsburg. Not Fallsburg. Yeah, someplace there. Yeah. And so I go visit him, and I send a little note that I'm a professor there. I want to get in. So I use a little status. I can have a private interview with him. Status works, right? So I go and have a private interview. He's there, I'm there. I look at him. He looks at me, and I ask him a question: Could I give mantra out? Would that be okay? And have some? Yes, you can do that. And then he looks at me, and I feel this magnetic pull. I wasn't going to walk up there, but the power of me. This magnetic pull is pulling me up there. And I pull up, and I get on his lap. On his lap. I'm on his lap. And this is really fucking weird right now. This is so weird. And then he puts his fingers in my ears. This is even weirder. In my mouth, coming in. And then I go into this state, gone, just gone. Then I hear him say, well, it's time to get moving. And I say, well, you should really walk carefully and help people get started. Thank you so much. I walk out, I open the door, and my whole body's just pulsating with it. And there's nothing but light. So what do? I start to run. I'm running, soaring down running down the highway, just running and running and running in this glide, like a soaring state, you know? So it really is good to meet great yogis. This is not an anti-yogi talk I've been giving at all. It's understanding that was a fantastic human being who I got on, put my heart on his lap, and he was so kind to me, let me help this guy. But it was always felt equal with him. Equality consciousness. Hi.
He ignited that energy in you. He pulled that out of you.
Yeah. He awakened that within me by giving me his. Awareness awakens awareness. Energy awakens. And everyone here who has awareness can do that. He used to say that, everyone can do this. Everyone can do this. And then as he dies and becomes institutionalization, then not everybody could do it. No. And you start having asymmetrical dramas take place. So, what time is it? Okay. So let's go back to primitive structures for a moment. Everybody still awake? I'm throwing a lot at you guys. So let's continue on here. So, awareness awakens of its own accord. Do we have some more batteries over there, maybe? Don't have Jeff here today. Jeff had to go to a conference. Jeff came all dressed up today. Let's see. Okay. Let's hope. 1, 2. Great, thanks. And that Owen, I think they would never get that. Great, thank you. So, we're going to go a little further into this. Awareness brings forth its own alchemical event. Awareness awakens of its own accord and its own time. This is really true. Awareness awakens of its own accord and its own time in its own way. So that's why you begin to relate to your awareness as the guru. You want to honor the guru as your awareness. Because awareness is the guru. Huh? It is. So you start to relate to your own awareness as the guru. And you meet people who embody that, and the guru can be felt in them. You with me? But it's not because I'm believing you're the guru. It's not because I think you're omnipotent, you know everything and anything. You're not even going to die. God, he died. It really was a great trauma. And he's a person, an ordinary person who has this embodiment that can be transferred from one person to another. And he gave that resonance to me, and that energy moves in me. But that energy had desire. Because my desire got me there. desire itself is the manifestation of the Guru. You with me? Now, so awareness awakens of its own accord in its own time, in its own way. This is an alchemical trip. That's why Jung's writing on alchemical is the same stuff in a certain way. So through the awakening of awareness, the ego, my mind, thinking, feeling, sensation, memory, the superego, right, wrong, good, bad, true, false, and the id, instinctive, the instinct covers a lot. Survival, sexuality, creatingness, and food, all those basic biological tasks are slowly transformed into the embodied field of awareness. So let's pay attention. My mind is becoming more light. My mind's becoming more light. Still has a ways to go. But my mind, just like Taisito, his mind is becoming more light. He's not Maitreya yet. Give him, he says, 900 years or 20. It's great. He's a very wonderful character, right? My mind is becoming light. It's becoming infused with light more and more and more. And my body is becoming infused with light more and more and more. And my superego is becoming subsumed into the light because I'm following the Tantra, the Godaba. I'm bringing my mind and my body into this light of awareness more and more. And I'm also experiencing more and more light with people like you. I feel more light resonating. I'm sitting here with the light here, and the light's coming towards me, and I'm metabolizing it. I'm purposely metabolizing everything. I love the metabolization. Metabolization is like eating. It's crunching. It's subsuming. It's metabolizing experience. It is not by food alone. There is food and elements in all this, and I'm metabolizing these elements. Most of the Dakini Tantras are about metabolizing the elements that you're with. Right, say yes if you... Okay, now, so this ego, the superego, the sphere of instincts are all integrated and metabolized by the light of awareness, the light of Tantra, the light of Kundalini, the light of resonance, the light of embodiment. So this is not getting rid of anything. I have not gotten rid of anything in my life. I don't want to get rid of anything. I don't have to get rid of anything. This is a win-win situation. This is a win-win situation. I integrate. I keep bringing it in, integrate and metabolizing it. Meditation helps me metabolize it. Mantra helps me metabolize it. But focusing on the metabolization function helps me more than anything. The superego is assimilated and metabolized into the power of the light of awareness. And the sphere of the instinctiveness is pulled into and metabolized by the light of awareness. What does that mean it's pulled into? It means I'm starting to feel this drivenness right now. And at this moment, I'm feeling this drivenness, and I pause. I open my entire body to awareness. I feel awareness with all the women here. And I metabolize the sexual instinct at that moment, and it's transformed into more light and more energy. Say yes if you know that. Yes. It's a relational undertaking that is both vertical and horizontal. If it's only vertical, verticalness will not get you out of solipsism. So a lot of people sit down like this. Proper posture. Ooh, anus hurts. Loose in anus. Proper posture. And now I feel like I'm going to survive. Oh, maybe. Could that be annihilation anxiety doing this? Maybe so. So anyway, as Namkhe Norba would say, it doesn't depend on your posture, huh? Even Yen-Chin doesn't really depend on your posture, huh? Posture you want to be in a posture that fits for you, that works for you. You with me? For some people, this is the posture. You with me? For other people, it's not the posture. You can think of any number of things, and it can become enormously ritualized. And the more it becomes ritualized, it can get in the way of your natural situation. I like this posture.
It doesn't depend on anything.
It doesn't depend on anything. In truth, it doesn't depend on anything. Now, hold on just a second. So, the sphere of instinctiveness is open and infused by non-conceptual knowingness and openness. So it takes some suffering in this, okay? If you haven't, it takes a bit of suffering initially to sublimate rage, to sublimate the range, whether it's survival. But as you suffer that experience, it's not terrible, but it is suffering, because you're going to want to discharge. You're going to want to discharge. And you're not in residence. So if you can just take that and you keep bringing it, and you keep bringing it in and up. You bring it in and you bring it up. You bring it in and you bring it up. You keep bringing it in and up. And then suddenly it starts moving on its own. The door is open. And then you know, and it's called the Kriyas. Then something is unfolding for you. And once the door is open enough, it will start to happen spontaneously. How many people know that in this room? Yes. Okay, great. You guys follow this, okay? The instinctiveness is opened and infused by the non-conceptual knowingness and openness. So why is extension so helpful for me? Why would Dzogchen Rinpoche say extension is the secret? Why does Yang Tong Rinpoche talk about extending? Why does extension help me with this? Why?
Because I'm now with. I can't be with and not with if I'm in myself.
Yes, you're with this person over here. And this person over here is in the field with you. And what happens if we're both in the field simultaneously? Bigger's better. It adds. It opens the feel up. It opens the feel up. It opens the feel. That's why, I forget the reason, it was in Wisconsin, some great Zen would say, it's intimacy. You with me? There's an intimacy here that takes place. As soon as it opens, there's an intimacy. It's very direct. It doesn't start 30 years down the road. It starts immediately. It starts to open. And then you feel this resonance. And then what happens with the energies and the instincts? They can start becoming together. It starts becoming unfolding. And then as it comes up here, so one of the first steps, what happens is it comes above the navel. Not easy. Opens the navel. It starts coming beyond. The first step, and many guys know that, the first step beyond the navel is the experience of sexuality without an object. What? There is no object. There's not a function of desire. Oh, someone desires me. I feel their desire. And as soon as I feel their desire, the instinct goes what? Yes! Fantastic! There it is again. It's dependent on desire, right? Often it's dependent on other people's desire. This is true. And suddenly it's there. Or it's depending on my desire. But as it arises, you begin to feel the power of the energy of Eros without desire. Now, does this mean you can't have desire and can't have a choice? No, but it's not desire dependent. Raise your hands if you understand that. You want to be able to be there. And then that energy starts itself. What does that energy do that's so interesting? It goes through this doorway. That is why the heart essence traditions do depend on the chi or the Shakti moving up. Say we've been studying with Mr. Ma now, who is a Tantric master also. Anyone that's a Qigong master is a Tantric master. They're the same things, different languages, different things. So where initially the energy was always held down, now that it starts opening up the heart, then you can store it here, but you're storing it in this level, but it's actually the heart essence opens up. And as the heart opens up, what starts taking place when the heart essence opens up with the instincts? The body of light starts being taken place. And then comes the nectarian states and all that, which we'll continue reading here, okay? Now, we will get this. So the primitive structures, okay. So the sphere of instinctiveness cracks open, and it literally feels like it's crack. You feel like you're cracking open. You feel each center you can feel like, and even the heart, you feel it cracking open. Who felt the heart center crack open? Yes, yeah. Painful. And it cracks open, and then comes up all the way up. So this is wonderful and amazing, and this opening, the sphere of instinctiveness cracks open and is infused with the power of the light and the spaciousness of awareness. So having instinctiveness, is that a blessing? Yes. That's why the Vajrayana is considered for angry and sexually obsessed people. That's what the Vajrayana is for. The texts say that, right? Who knows? Everybody hear any texts? The text said for the fire element people. Any fire element people here? There's a few here. Good. This is not just the moon days, okay? So, but the moon also is fire, right? So, this is wonderful and amazing. The opening is the beginning of self-liberation. The primitive structures of humanness, and its humanness, is pulled into the fire of awareness, the unfolding of awareness. The primitive structures are embodied by awareness, infused by awareness, and completed within awareness. The mind is embodied as is the instincts and as the superego. That's why if you have a super-duper superego, which no one here has, you should bring that little thing into your heart over and over again. You have to bring that structure down. But hearing is not believing, is it? So there is a radical shift from self-regulation through discharge alone to regulation through resonance. That's the major thing I would love everybody to get. When you're a tantric person, I don't mean you kill cats or other such things. Muktananda used to make fun of people who ate shit, because some tantrics eat shit. Some do. You would think they eat the five. They're not just symbols. There's a certain group of tantrics who eat shit, and the five delicacies. They're using it symbolically to get beyond where there's one taste, where you're not so. And so actually, some tantrics actually practice eating terrible things to free themselves from disgust. Okay. I think it was, that's not our path, okay? But who understands resonance being different than the self-regulation of discharge? Who understands that right now? Who, as therapists, that's why training people in resonance with you and feeling resonance. Can you feel me right now? So people say, oh, can you feel me right now? That's a strange, yes, but can you feel me? I can feel you a little bit. What's it like to feel me a little bit? Oh, yeah, okay. Do you feel safe? Well, that's all right. Okay, we're going to be able to take my hand away. What's it like now? But that is the opening the door of resonance that frees us from solipsism and the organization of the instincts, where the world is a thing. The world is thingness, right? Seems like the world really is becoming more like that, doesn't it? So the embodiment of the instincts is of great importance, and there's this shift from cycles of discharge into cycles of resonance, vast ongoing resonance. And so if you're into discharging, you really have to hold in abeyance some of the discharge in order to metabolize what's going to be discharged, that you can open up the door of resonance. Say yes if you understand that, okay? This will bring you resonance and aliveness. And you want to feel this. You want to cultivate aliveness and vitalness in your body. You do not want to be asleep. You do not want to be numbed out. It's better to suffer somewhat than be numbed out. And if you've been numbed out for years, when you start unnumbing, you will have some suffering. But that suffering is a bite, but it's a good bite. It's like being bitten. You with me? The embodiment of the instincts is of great importance, as there's this shift from discharge cycles into cycles of resonance, vast ongoing resonance. This non-dual resonance dissolves the dissociativeness of instinctiveness, and the power and vitality of instinct now serves the human being by being infused by the light, and the light infusing the instinct, and opening the instinct into awareness and the self-liberation from containment. The self-liberation from containment. Things may look uncontained, but a lot of discharge activity may seem to look like it's an attempt to be uncontained. But even in the drama of uncontainment, there's still vast containment in that experience. So the sphere of instinct opens into the self-manifestation of awareness. So instinct itself becomes integrated in the self-manifestation of eros. And by this ongoing unfolding experience of luminosity and the vitalness of the body of light is becoming formulated. You and I aren't simply given the body of light. The body of light is a formulated experience as awareness manifests and integrated into our body, into the instincts of our body. The body of light is formed. And then we start experiencing the Amrita states and those other states flowing from us. The body of light is informed through our awareness of death and through the integration of Thanatos within our luminous awareness. Now luminous deathlessness awareness becomes the medium beyond death. The same thing with focusing on death and annihilation anxiety. Annihilation anxiety and the capacity to take death is also a Heideggerian theme. Many of the extensions are very similar. They're tantrics. To take death into our awareness and focus on death and integrate death and integrate disappearing and integrate the terror of that will bring us into deathless awareness. Who has experienced that? Anybody? Yes. You want to focus on death and dying and your disappearance and the death of everyone disappearing. Everyone here is going to disappear, right? There'll be no one here in a few years. There'll be no one here from this room in a few years. Not too many years. No one here. No one. Everyone's be gone. Gone physically. Just gone. Focusing on that. Focusing on it. Metabolizing it. Integrating it. Not avoiding it. Then the body of light. Deathless awareness. And you feel that awareness arising in you, that, because it takes us beyond appearance and disappearance, right? That's what the body of light is. Continuity of awareness through time. Continuity of awareness through death. Yes?
You said before that we are not given the light body. We have to apparently do something to get it.
Yes. The light body is constructed. It is manifested. It is the light body is there, but it is not manifested. There is a manifestation that has to take place. If my mind, I am light, I am total light, but to experience total light is a manifested state. You with me? It's a manifested state. And the manifestation is a collaborative experience between us and the cosmological world. There's a manifestation there. Now, in that way, there's truth to the Tara Tantra, that the seed aspect is there. But it's only half true, because though the seed is there, and I'm going to skip to that part right now. We'll go back to and then we'll end up, okay? Everybody following this? So now we're going to go back to the Tara Tantra for a moment. I never knew how to put numbers on my pages. I have to learn that one day. So if I forget about it, sort of random brain here. Okay. Okay. So let's go back into the history of Tibetan Buddhism, because that's talking, he's bringing about, is it a seed or is it actuality? That's what you're talking about. In Tibet during the 8th century, the village and shamanistic-based Nyingma tradition brought forth the Gudaba Tantra, the secret Tantra. And it's secret because what it's talking about is obvious, but we don't know it. Let him who hears hear, and who sees sees, right? In this and through this most wonderfully, truly Tibetan Tantra, the divinity of everyone and everything becomes unveiled. So this Tantra opens up pantheism, that everything is God, everything is divine, and all this is immanent. It is not out there. It is not holy otherness. It is completely here in eminence. A truly pantheistic view emanated in the Vajrayana tradition. Of course, this Tantra was and is challenged by the new translation lineages as being only Tibetan in origin and not reflective of the historical Indian, Buddhist, Sanskrit traditions, which existed in India and came to Tibet in the 11th century. For instance, one time I asked Lama Norla, would he give the Gurdwara Tantra? And he says, I really don't know that Tantra. It really is Enigma Tantra. Though he's very much knows Dzogchen in certain way, he doesn't really know that Tantra is not part of his claim. It's a different, so there are different lineages. There are different family systems, right? So, of course, this Tantra was and is challenged by the new translation lineages being only Tibetan in origin and not reflective of the historical Indian Buddhist Sanskrit traditions which existed in India and came to Tibet in the 11th century. In fact, the Gurdwara Tantra was an unfoldment of the wheel of Dharma that went beyond the Indian Buddhism with its Sanskrit alliance. So they say, oh, this Tantra is not in Sanskrit. It doesn't really count. It's not really truly a Buddhist Tantra, okay? You have these political battles. You guys follow what I'm saying? So the Gurdwara Tantra went far beyond the third unfolding of the wheel of Dharma, which was the Uttara Tantra of the 4th century. The Uttara Tantra was something, huh? The 8th century Gurdwara Tantra brings pantheism into the foreground in the Nyingma tradition. The Uttara Tantra brought forth the magnificence and positive understanding of wisdom mind, the Buddha mind, being the cosmological source of everything and anything. And I love that phrase, the Buddha mind. I don't necessarily like Buddha man phrase, okay? Because the implications are different. This Tantra also emphasized the Tathagata tradition of Indian Buddhism. And this was a great step and leap into Buddhism, as it was at last the understanding of wisdom being the cosmological source of everything and anything. In the early tradition of Buddha, read his life of Gurdwara, there was not the emphasis on wisdom being the source of everything and anything. There was no cosmology. It was ceaseless causality that ended when you die. But even when you die, it didn't quite end. You had to come back to some kind of way you could cease it. But it was ultimately going for ceasing is what it was about, okay? If you don't believe it, read it, okay? And so this was a great step and leap into Buddhism, as there was at last the understanding of wisdom being the cosmological source of everything and anything. This understanding of the Uttara Tantra was that the Buddha nature is within everyone in seed form. Gurdwara Tantra takes a step beyond seed form. And that everyone has this seed of wisdom awareness. With practice and understanding, the Buddha nature could become fully experienced by everyone. And this is the Tathagata teachings, the new translation school of Tibetan Buddhism in the 11th century unto the present time. This is a sustained view of wisdom. The seed of wisdom becoming the Buddha is in everyone, and this view remains a central place in the new translation traditions that take the Kagyu Karma and the Kagyu Draikon lineages, which I have experience with. The Tathagata is a seed in the disciple that must come into fruition through the theocratic formulation of the Guru as the Buddha personified, as the Lama person as Guru. That's why it's so central. The seed frame still maintains the central understanding in the theocratic and corresponding asymmetrical framing of spiritual experience and growth within theocratic culture. I'm bringing the social psychological component of this. This view is more contracted and limited than the vast open view of the Nyingma tradition as expressed in the Gurdwara Tantra. Of course, because I have a prejudice towards the Nyingma tradition. We always should know our prejudices, right? In regards to this particular topic, okay? This profound shift in view and path is the understanding that Buddha nature is not simply a seed within all sentient beings, but is the very nature of all sentient beings just as they are. Divinity is complete within everyone and everything. The secret essence Tantra goes beyond the theme of the Tathagata, which is understanding that all beings have the innate potential to become Buddhas. Actually, we are all Buddhas, and we have the potential to know that we are Buddhas. It's really a combination of these two bring it into more clarity. In that dynamic, we are all Buddhas, just as I am, and the potential to bring that into fruition is the blending of both these traditions. Say yes if you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so the theme of the Tathagata is dramatically extended to embrace a view that everything is already the Buddha. The secret essence Tantra Gudaba, the Guja Garbha Tantra, as Douglas Dugworth points out, he's at Temple University, I would like him to come here sometime, is the most useful, important shift from Buddha nature as the seed, which is a universal potential for awakening, to the secret nature Tantra, that everything and everything is Buddha nature now. And this is a radical unfolding movement towards the eminence of divinity rather than transcendence of divinity. You with me? Moreover, the liberating view that everyone is the Buddha nature is completeness now directly influences the understanding of the Guru. Would you mind opening that? Someone's coming for a second. Thing. You know this. So directly influences the understanding of the nature of the Guru being in everyone. The Guru is self-revelation of primordial awareness as Buddha mind in everyone. So with this understanding, the shift of the Guru takes place also to the inner Guru. Thus, the power of the inner Guru is clearly understood and recognized as central to the unfolding of the path of self-liberation. The power of the inner Guru and the manifestation of the Guru in our life takes us beyond the theocratic excess of the Guru being personalized as the perfect Oniship Lama, as Buddha man. The Guru is not a person, it is a self-revealing power in each of us. And we'll pick this up again next week. And really, not next week, 2 weeks from now. Okay, but that combination. But these really are important, because if you don't think the Guru is in you and you don't cultivate that experience, nothing's liable to happen. You'll be dead in the water. That's why you have to cultivate this. All this does take effort. In a certain way, there's no effort, and another way, there's vast effort. You have to cultivate your awakening of yourself and your extension of yourself. You have to swim with desire. Desire built Baltimore, as Lacan says. Thank you, guys. Good to see you all. Mwah. Good to see you. We're not going to meet next week. No meeting next week. We go to the monastery. Thank you, guys. Hasta la vista. See you later, and take it easy.
Heidi, my love, did you see this series? I just wanted to make sure it circulated if you had not seen it.
If you're going up and you're staying in a hotel, you do not have to send your email up. I sent your names up already. But if you're staying in the monastery, you have to email your name up, okay? And they'll get a place. Pay attention. If you're going up and you're staying in a hotel, no need for, I send your names up. But if you want to stay in the monastery, you have to send your email up. And I think Heidi has that number.
And just a more mundane matter, I was away taking Sophia, we were in California taking her on college visits. Yeah. And I did just want to make sure I responded to your query.
And I gave
And
your
if you,
name
that's
to the, her
fine.
name is
Absolutely, yes.
Veronica
Okay.
Gomez something. She's doing work with girls who have congenital abnormalities.
Am I sitting
in
on
their sexual
Wow. Yeah, I was curious about what she was doing.
She wants to do a group. So I thought of you.
Yeah.
She was also, I didn't totally understand.
I'd be
She was
happy to
looking,
help
she
her.
was well, that's what I thought. So I gave her your name.
Yes.
So you might